So far on this channel I've mostly focused on players of the golden age who have since shook off their mortal coil, but for once I'm actually going to feature a living fiddler, Mr. Itzhak Perlman. Not only is he the greatest living violinist of today, he is in my personal top 5 violinists ever. Considering that list includes Jascha Heifetz, Nathan Milstein, Ruggiero Ricci and Arthur Grumio, that is an indication of how highly I personally view Perlman. And Henry Roth tends to agree. Indeed, on page 227 of his book Violin Virtuosos, here's what he says about Perlman. In the opinion of this writer, Itzhak Perlman ranks among the half-dozen violinists of the 20th century. But what are some of the reasons why I like Perlman so much? Number one, I've seen him live. He likes to throw in a joke or two, like the favourite of his, "I've forgotten my sheet music" line. Some would say he's reused his jokes from time to time. However, I think personally it's a lovely touch to his stage persona. I also had the privilege of meeting him backstage after the concert in London. Perlman has that ability to make ladies cry at his concerts because his sound oozes passion. It can move a person to tears. I love the contributions that he's made to film soundtracks, most notably Schindler's List. And the fact that the Schindler's List piece is performed at recitals and has become included as a great exam piece is testimony to not only the fantastic composition of John Williams, but also to Perlman's playing. I admire him as well because as a disabled child, he didn't just sit there and feel sorry for himself. No, instead, he applied himself to music and became the phenomenal success story that he is today. And so for me, he is an inspirational artist and an advertisement for the power of positive energy and determination. I like listening to him comment on other violinists, especially his comments on Heifetz. He is an expert on this subject and speaks with absolute authority. And yet never have I detected a shred of professional jealousy in anything that he said. The fact that he met Heifetz and even played scales for him, that he passed the Heifetz test of fire, so to speak, adds further to his legend, as well as his historic appearance on the Ed Sullivan Show in the 50s. I like his Jewish humour and the shopping and cooking he does in New York in his apartment. He's the opposite of a Heifetz personality in a way, because he's not stern and grumpy like Heifetz comes across sometimes. But it's really his playing that does it for me. For me, Perlman is at his very best in the following example works. The Wieniawski Concerto No. 1, where he delivers a breathtaking performance with crisp staccato passages. Anything from the Spanish repertoire, be it Sarasate de Fire, Granados, he has what it takes to interpret and play Spanish music with passion down to a T. Not every classical violinist plays Spanish music effectively. And since he happens to be amongst my favourite, I really do appreciate his playing of Spanish works. I've listened to the Perlman Spanish album time and time again. I love his rendition of the Paganini Caprices. I love his Bits and Pieces album, which features less often heard works. And of course, his playing of Anything by Chrysler. There are pieces recorded by Perlman and performed by him that Heifetz does better, of course. The Sibelius Concerto, the Wieniawski No. 2, the Wellenspiel by Grassi, and La Vida Breve by De Fire, to cite just a few examples. But the pieces that Heifetz hasn't recorded, more often than not, I turn to Perlman as a point of reference, and more often than not, for many of those pieces, Perlman's version is my favourite. Saying that Perlman is a living relic may not sound like too much of a compliment. And I have to say though, he looks pretty amazing for 80 years old. But for me, he is that link to the past. Through his contacts with the 20th century Golden Age players, and through the teaching that he received from Dorothy DeLay and Ivan Galamian. He also owns an absolutely stunning instrument, the Soil Stradivarius. And I would describe him as a violinist with a big sound, a huge sound, like David Itzhak, but different to Heifetz, who did not have that huge kind of sound. The fact that Perlman has pretty large hands no doubt helps him in production of that big sound. In a nutshell, to me, Perlman comes across as a genuine nice guy and also has the complete technical facility and ability, combined with a bel canto sound that penetrates through flesh and bone right to the heart. Perlman, when he picks up his violin, well, he's got something to say. So, the biography of Itzhak Perlman is as follows. He was born in Tel Aviv in 1945 to Ashkenazi Jewish parents who emigrated from Eastern Europe. The name of his parents was Chaim and Shoshana Perlman, and they hailed from Poland, but left there in the mid-1930s to make Aliyah to Israel. Perlman was attracted to violin from age around 3.5, first hearing it on the radio and taking to it, and then beginning lessons from the age of 5, although he taught himself a few melodies before that. Tragically, he was stricken with polio at age 4, which left his legs paralysed. So he is a violinist who plays sitting down. Most violinists play standing, unless playing chamber music, of course. Due to polio, Perlman from that point on had to walk using leg braces and crutches, or using his electric scooter later in life. After taking a few lessons from a cafe violinist, he attended the Tel Aviv Academy of Music, where he studied with Rivka Goldgart for 8 years. By the age of 7, he was already practicing up to 3 hours per day. That Academy of Music is now called the Buchmann Meta School of Music. The etudes that were the foundation blocks to him building his technique were the Kreutzer, favourite book of Heifetz of course, the Rode, Gaviniès, Cassorti, and for scales and exercises, Sevcik, Karlfleisch and Dunis. In 1958, aged 13, he was brought to the United States to appear on the Ed Sullivan television show, playing the finale of the Mendelssohn Violin Concerto as well as Flight of the Bumblebee. He would appear again on the Ed Sullivan Show in 1964, on the same show as the Rolling Stones in fact. Perlman became devoted to music. After the success of the TV show in 1958, he started a 2-month tour of America with Sullivan's Caravan of Stars, before finally settling to live in New York. He's a proper New Yorker. There, the teenage boy continued his musical studies at the Juilliard School with Galamian and his assistant DeLay, and later worked with Joseph Gingold on chamber music. Perlman also studied at the Meadowmount School of Music in Essex County, New York. He was in Isaac Stern's good books, which is just as well. And in 1963 and 1964, Perlman made appearances with the National Orchestra Association in Wieniawski's Violin Concerto No. 1, the New York Youth Orchestra in Beethoven's Violin Concerto, and with the Detroit Symphony Orchestra. Whilst at Meadowmount, he met Toby Lynn Friedlander, also a classical violinist, who became his wife. They had 5 children, including Nava Perlman, who is a concert pianist and chamber musician, and our grandparents as well. Apparently, Perlman has synesthesia and was interviewed for Tasting the Universe by Maureen Seberg. I'll let you Google more about that condition yourself. His repertoire runs the gamut from exalted masterpieces to dazzling virtuoso showpieces and vignettes to sonatas and chamber music, the full spectrum of the repertoire. He made his Carnegie Hall debut performing Wieniawski's concerto in 1963. Then during the later part of 1964, he gave several concerts in Israel, a tour that concluded with the Tchaikovsky Violin Concerto at the Mann Auditorium in Tel Aviv. From 1964 to 1966, Perlman toured in the United States and performed in 30 cities. Then, starting in the late 60s, Perlman began to tour Europe. Fun fact, he sang the role of un carceriere, or a jailer, on a 1981 EMI recording of Puccini's Tosca that featured Renato Scotto, Placido Domingo and Renato Bruzon, with James Levine conducting. Perlman continued to give concert appearances through the decades. On 5th of July 1986, he performed at the New York Philharmonic's tribute to the 100th anniversary of the Statue of Liberty, which was televised live on ABC. The orchestra, conducted by Zubin Mehta, performed in Central Park. Perlman has performed with a number of other musicians, including Yo-Yo Ma, Pinchas Zukerman, Jesse Norman, Vladimir Ashkenazy, Isaac Stern, and Yuri Temirkanov at the 150th anniversary celebration of Tchaikovsky in Leningrad in December 1919. St. Petersburg, I guess. Perlman has also played jazz, including an album made with jazz pianist Oscar Peterson, and has played bluegrass, so he's not a musical snob. In 1964, he won the prestigious Leventritt Award, after which his career went international with a mass audience. His concerts routinely sell out, and commanding good fees for his concerts as well. And he went on to make a sizable number of recordings. Itzhak Perlman also successfully made the transition into conducting whilst continuing to perform as a violinist. He has conducted the Detroit Symphony Orchestra, the Philadelphia Orchestra, and the Westchester Philharmonic, for example. He appeared on Sesame Street multiple times. My best is the early appearance where he plays the Beethoven Minuet in G. We benefit from the fact that Perlman's recordings were made in the modern age and so sound fantastic. There are no distractions from scratches like you get on the old 78 RPMs. So it was good timing when he came on the scene, such a high quality player. And we now have a treasury of his recordings available to listen to. He's been a champion and spokesman on behalf of issues affecting handicapped persons. He uses vibrato in Bach, which for me personally is not at all a problem, and is also proud of his Jewish heritage. He's recorded a klezmer album, not necessarily my cup of tea. I find most klezmer sounds a little bit weird. Sorry if you're a klezmer fan. I do, however, appreciate his Ernest Bloch Nigun. Whilst not as brilliant as Heifetz's version, it's nevertheless up there with the very best. Or Hebrew Melody, which is a masterclass lesson in vibrato and slides, and a lot clearer, being recorded later than the Heifetz version. I appreciate as well his Scott Joplin Ragtime album. In 1975, Perlman accepted a faculty post at the Conservatory of Music at Brooklyn College. In 2003, he was named the Dorothy Richard Starling Foundation Chair in Violin Studies at the Juilliard School, succeeding his teacher Dorothy DeLay. He also teaches students one-on-one at the Perlman Music Program on Long Island, New York, and from time to time holds masterclasses. The Perlman Music Program, which was founded in 1994 by Perlman's wife, Toby Perlman, and Suki Sandler, started as a summer camp for exceptional string musicians between the ages of 12 and 18. Over time, it expanded to a year-long program. Students have the chance to have Perlman coach them before they play at venues such as the Sutton Place Synagogue and public schools. By introducing students to each other and requiring them to practice together, the program strives to have musicians who would otherwise practice alone develop a network of friends and colleagues, rather than remain isolated. Participants in the program find an area where they belong. And so Itzhak Perlman is a dedicated and caring teacher. Some achievements of his: He has performed worldwide and throughout the United States in venues that have included a state dinner for Queen Elizabeth II at the White House in 2007 and performing at the 2009 inauguration of Barack Obama. He was also awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom in 2015 and is the winner of 16 Grammy Awards, including a Lifetime Award, as well as a winner of 4 Emmy Awards. He is a soloist in a number of film scores, such as the theme of the 1993 film Schindler's List by John Williams, which actually won an Academy Award for Best Original Score. And he's been a violin soloist in other films, such as Memoirs of a Geisha. Some salient points from Henry Roth's book on Perlman, his book Violin Virtuosos. Roth does not merely mention Perlman in passing, nor just devote a page or two to him. No, he devotes an entire chapter to Perlman. It's worth mentioning that he does the same for Zuckerman too, Perlman's friend, musical collaborator and pretty damn awesome violin player, as well as viola player. So for that chapter on Itzhak Perlman, we can turn to page 219 of Violin Virtuosos. Roth begins by saying that Perlman was born with a fiddle in his hand. He feels that the Heifetz influence is particularly strong with this player, as it was with Rabin and Kogan. Whilst not a copier of Heifetz, he nevertheless employs effective, expressive slides a la Heifetz. Perlman speaks highly of many violinists, but clearly venerates Heifetz, even jokingly calling him God, as did Zubin Mehta, I believe. Roth goes on to describe Perlman's playing in this way: beautiful, soft-grained, sweetly etched tone, a masterful technician and superior tonalist. I do agree with Roth that Perlman's sound is not quite as readily identifiable as some of the great artists who came before him, such as Heifetz, Menuhin and Milstein, who each had a very unique, distinctive sound. Nevertheless, his sound is very special, and Roth says that he uses vibrato like a skilled vocalist. I guess that must make him, therefore, a bel canto player. Roth does mention that facial grimaces do sometimes happen, and so Perlman perhaps does not have the poker face of Heifetz and the earlier players. But he goes on to say that Perlman has a compelling personality, as well as being a fluent speaker who can articulate thoughts clearly and convincingly, that he has a bubbling sense of humour. Although Roth says that as a would-be comic he is less satisfying. My teacher Ron kind of said the same. The thing is, if you're going to attend lots of Perlman concerts, be prepared that he may fish out an old joke that he's used before, such as the "I forgot my sheet music" one. Comedy aside, Roth describes him as portraying an image of royalty whilst on the stage. Now let's turn to Rob Cowan's Guinness Classical 1000. It's an old book, but since I like all the old players, it works for me. That's why you'll hear me quoting from it quite often. On page 19, Rob Cowan attributes the definitive recording of the Samuel Barber Concerto to Itzhak Perlman. He played that piece with the Boston Symphony and Seiji Ozawa. And on page 165 to 166, he assigns the Concert in D Major by Chausson to Perlman as the definitive version of that piece. What about Perlman's violins? Perlman plays the Soil Stradivarius violin, a superb golden period Stradivarius from 1714, formerly owned by Yehudi Menuhin, and considered one of the finest violins ever made by Strad. Perlman also plays the 1743 Sauret Guarneri del Gesù. Here are some other instruments that he's owned in the past. So that's my video on Itzhak Perlman, long overdue. I'd love to hear in the comments how you feel about him and what his playing does for you. Thanks for listening.